All right, today we're going to unpack the architecture of absolute control. We're going to look at how the Soviet dictatorship wasn't just a random series of events, but a deliberately engineered system, a machine really, built on a single, very powerful idea.
And this is the idea right at the very core. It's a quote from Vladimir Lenin that isn't just a statement, it's practically a blueprint. Power won and maintained by violence. It's direct, it's unambiguous, and it's the guiding principle for absolutely everything that follows.
So, here's the big question, right? How do you take a philosophy like that and actually turn it into a functioning state? How do you build a system where violence isn't just something you use as a last resort, but it's the actual mechanism that keeps the whole thing running? That's what we're going to dive into.
So first things first, we have to look at Lenin's quote not as just some rhetoric, but as an operational directive. It's pretty much the mission statement that defines the purpose and the methods of the entire structure we're about to break down. You know, the best way to really wrap your head around this is to think like an architect. We're not just looking at isolated policies or random events. We're looking at a system that was deliberately constructed, with a foundation, with structural supports, and with very specific tools designed to keep it standing.
So where does any architect begin? With the foundation, of course. And in this political architecture, the foundation is the absolute supremacy of a single party.
A one-party state is, well, it's exactly what it sounds like. It completely changes the political game by basically making competition illegal. There are no opposition parties, no alternative ideas, and no way to peacefully transfer power. All political authority gets funneled into one single entity. And that is precisely why it's the foundation. By wiping out all legitimate political opposition right from the get-go, you create a monopoly on power. This is the crucial first step you have to take before any of the other tools of control can even be used effectively. Okay, so you've laid the foundation. Now you have to build the walls that control the people living inside the structure. And the first major tool for this, it's terror.
The Red Terror was a full-on state-sponsored campaign of violence, and it was pointed directly at the general population. Its targets were intentionally broad and vague: counter-revolutionaries, class enemies, really just anyone who was perceived as a threat. The goal wasn't just to eliminate certain individuals, but to make a brutal example of them. It was all about engineering control through widespread, paralyzing fear. But, controlling the general population is only half the battle. What do you do about dissent from within? For that, this architecture needed a totally different tool, one that wasn't aimed outward, but inward. And that's where the political purge comes in. See, while terror controls the masses, the purge is designed to control the party itself. It's a mechanism for enforcing absolute ideological purity and unquestioning loyalty among the people in charge. Anyone inside the party who was suspected of wavering, of having different ideas, or even just becoming too popular could be removed. And this slide really puts the two functions into sharp focus. Think of it this way. Red Terror is the state policing the people. Political purges are the party policing itself. Now, they both use violence and fear, for sure, but they're aimed at different targets for very specific complementary reasons.
Okay, so let's put it all together now. We've got the foundation and we've got the tools. Now we can finally see the finished architecture as a single, cohesive system of control.
And here it is, laid out step by step. First, you lay the foundation, the one-party state, which gives you that monopoly on power. Second, you use the tool of terror to control everyone outside the party. Third, you use the tool of the purge to control everyone inside the party. And the logical result? Well, you arrive right back where we started, at Lenin's original premise, a system where power is won, and more importantly, maintained by violence.
It is so crucial to see these not as separate things, but as interconnected pillars holding up the same structure. The one-party state is pretty much meaningless without the terror and the purges to enforce its rule. And the terror and purges would just be chaotic and unsustainable without the centralized authority of the one-party state to direct them. They all have to work together.
And that brings us to the final and probably the most important question. Look, this system is brutally effective at maintaining power, but it is built on fear and it is built on force. So the thing to really think about is this. When a political system is designed from the ground up to run on violence, what is its true and lasting cost for the people and for the state itself?